If you're here with us on the deep dive, you probably already know that we like to get right to it.
Yeah, no time wasted.
No time wasted.
We respect our listeners.
We respect our listeners and their time, so let's just dive right in.
To Rammsund.
Rammsund.
Band you brought to our attention.
Yeah, you sent us a bunch of stuff, and I gotta say, this is really cool.
Yeah, you gave us some really great material here, articles, concert reviews, and even some interviews where we get to hear straight from the band.
Yeah, a lot of YouTube stuff.
Yeah, and we appreciate all of that.
So Rammsund, for those who haven't heard of them, well, they're a Norwegian band.
Way.
And what they do is they take Rammstein songs, those really iconic industrial metal songs, and
they translate them. Into nynorsk.
Nynorsk. Now, for anyone who's not up on their Norwegian dialects, nynorsk is one of the two official forms of written Norwegian. Like if you think of the different ways you might write, say, formal English versus something more casual, this is kind of like that, but, officially recognized in Norway.
Right, it's not just slang.
Not just slang.
It's a whole different way of writing the language.
Exactly. So that's what Rammstein does, Rammstein, but in nynorsk. And the question we're trying to answer today is, why? What is it about this combination that has made them so popular? Why does it work?
Right, they've got this dedicated fan base.
Yeah, they've clearly struck a chord with people.
Yeah.
So let's rewind a bit, go back to the beginning. It turns out Rammstein has been around for a while.
Oh, yeah, since the early 2000s.
Yeah, they first got together around 2003, and their first official show, like on a stage, was November 15th, 2004.
Interesting.
Hold on to that date, November 15th, 2004. Because get this, the very next day.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Rammstein played a concert in Oslo.
No way.
Yeah, so talk about perfect timing.
Wow.
So you can kind of see how that might have been like the spark.
That's incredible.
Right? Now, how did this whole thing even get started? Well, from what we gathered from an interview they did on TV2 Washera, it all started with a group of friends. Yeah, just a bunch of friends who are huge, huge Rammstein fans.
Okay, yeah, like us.
Exactly. And they thought, hey, why not translate these songs into Norwegian?
Seems simple enough.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Their first attempt, they actually used bokmål.
The other very form.
The other one, yeah. And they just felt like it didn't quite...
It didn't have the same feel.
Yeah, it didn't have that same energy, that same punch. And in their own words, in that Washera interview, they said, it started with us taking some German and making it Norwegian. We were Rammstein fans, so it naturally became Rammstein. And then we found out that it worked pretty badly when we first tried bokmål. So we thought, why not try nynorsk? And it worked like hell.
Worked like hell. I love that.
Right, it just clicked.
It just clicked.
So there's something about nynorsk, like the specific sounds, the rhythm, the way it feels, that just seem to capture the essence of Rammstein.
Yeah, that raw energy.
The raw energy. Now, these guys, they didn't mess around when it came to translation. We read in the Music of Viken's Pulse article that they actually got Språkrådet involved. That's like the official language council of Norway.
Wow, that's serious.
It is. These guys wanted to make sure the translations were not only accurate, but also grammatically perfect.
Dedication.
Dedication.
I mean, that really shows you they're serious about this.
Absolutely. The article even says the Language Council itself has been involved in quality assured that the lyrics are not just correctly translated, but also grammatically correct.
That's amazing.
Right. It's like they elevated this whole cover band thing to like an art form.
I was just thinking that.
Right. Like a symphony orchestra playing, I don't know, Beethoven or something.
Right. Taking this existing work and reinterpreting it through a different lens.
And speaking of reinterpreting, let's talk about their live shows.
Okay, yeah, this is where it gets really interesting.
Because, man, these shows are something else.
I've been reading about them. They sound incredible.
They don't just play the music.
They recreate the whole Rammstein spectacle.
The whole thing. Pyrotechnics, flames, smoke.
It's a full-on sensory experience.
One reviewer, this was from Music of Viken Pulse, they said it was like being in a sauna.
A sauna?
Yeah, like, with all the smoke, but like a really cool sauna.
I guess that makes sense.
The NotebookLM article we have here, they described a show at Rockefeller as a Forikendi pyro show.
Forikendi?
It means like furious, raging, out of control. A pyro show that's just going crazy.
Yeah, like they really went all out.
All out.
We also found a great review in Blessed from a show at Rockefeller back in 2019.
Yeah, and they go into some specific examples of how they recreate those iconic Rammstein moments.
Okay.
Because so remember Firefly with the like fire cannons?
Oh yeah, classics.
They do that as Firelaus.
Makes sense.
And the lead singer Grobine, he wears this mask that actually shoots flames.
Wow, that's intense.
Right. The reviewer even called it utrolig tøft og vågalt. Incredibly cool and daring. And it's not just the big pyro stuff.
Oh.
No, they also pay attention to the smaller details, like For Zaydish, which they do as Sindag, they had nuns and a priest come out on stage.
What?
As a live choir.
Seriously?
Seriously. And Grobein was wearing a Tapel costume, but like a kind of funny, half-assed one. The reviewer even called it halfstusselig, which kind of means like amusingly inadequate.
So they're not taking themselves too seriously.
Exactly. There's this element of humor woven into the whole performance.
Right, so it's not just like a straight-up imitation.
No, they're having fun with it.
Which makes it even more engaging, I think.
Right. The blessed reviewer even used this great phrase, imponerende kleint.
Kleint.
It means like impressively awkward or endearingly cringeworthy.
I love that.
Right. It perfectly captures that balance between the high energy and the self-awareness.
Like they're in on the joke.
Exactly.
Which makes it even more enjoyable to watch, I think.
And for those hardcore Rammstein fans out there, get this. Rammsund has this tradition of playing a Rammstein.Vorspiel the day before any Rammstein concert in Norway. Yeah, it basically means pre-party.
I see.
It's like a warm-up for the main event.
So if you're lucky enough to be in Norway when Rammstein is touring...
You get 2 shows.
Back to back.
Back to back.
That's pretty awesome.
Okay, so we've talked about the spectacle, the performance, the humor. Now let's get into the heart of it. Nynorsk.
Yeah, why nynorsk?
Why this specific language?
There must be something special about it.
Well, the Rockman article puts it pretty bluntly. They say, it is namely only one Norwegian language that is tight and hardened enough to be worthy of the East German metal phenomenon. It had to be nynorsk.
Wow, that's a strong statement.
Right. It suggests that nynorsk has this inherent quality, like a ruggedness or an intensity, that just fits Rammstein's music better than Bokmål.
Like it's the more hardcore version of Norwegian.
Exactly.
And from what we saw in their interview, it seems like the band members themselves really believe this.
Oh, yeah, they're passionate about it.
Yeah. In the TV2 Washura interview, they talk about how they now fight for nynorsk.
They even sell nynorsk dictionaries at their concerts.
That's awesome.
It's like they're promoting the language, making people more aware of it.
Absolutely.
Which brings up an interesting point. For those of us who don't speak nynorsk, is there a language barrier? Can we still enjoy the show?
Good question.
Well, the Music of East Pools reviewer actually addressed this. They admit to not being an expert in either German or nynorsk. But get this. They said that as the concert went on, they stopped even noticing the language.
Really?
Yeah, like they got so caught up in the energy, the music, the performance, that the language itself became secondary.
That's interesting.
It's like the music transcended the language barrier.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
Now, there is this interesting contrast that the reviewer pointed out. Apparently, the band is much more comfortable singing in nynorsk than speaking it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like between songs, when they're talking to the audience, they're a little more hesitant, a little less fluent.
So it's almost like they embody this different persona when they sing.
It's like they become more confident, more powerful.
Embracing the language fully.
There's also this cool story in the Rockman article. The band realized at some point that Rammstein's music is enjoyed by people all over the world, even if they don't understand the lyrics.
Right. It's about the feeling, the energy.
Yeah, and that kind of inspired them to bring these nynorsk translation to their audience.
Like, why not give Norwegian fans a new way to experience this music?
Yeah, it's not just about understanding every word. It's about the overall impact.
Exactly.
Now, it's important to note that Rammsund isn't just a cover band. They also have their own original music.
Yeah, they have a project called Stol.
That's right.
Where they write and perform their own songs.
So they're artists in their own right.
Not just interpreters.
And they had ambitions, or maybe still do, to take Rammsund beyond Norway.
Yeah, in that TV2 Washera interview, they talked about a tour.
Work in 2010.
Norway, Sweden, and Denmark.
And they were going to tour with a band from New York called Hansel and Gretel.
Interesting combination.
Right. It would have been interesting to see how that played out.
I wonder if I'll ever revisit that idea.
Maybe. You never know.
It's also kind of funny. In that same interview, they were pretty outspoken about their dislike for Tokyo Hotel.
Yeah, they're not afraid to share their opinions.
Which is cool.
It shows they have their own distinct tastes, you know.
Absolutely.
Okay, fast forward to 2023. Rammsund celebrates their 20th anniversary.
Wow, that's a long time.
2 decades of Rammstein in nynorsk.
And to mark the occasion, they did something really special.
They played a concert at the Oslo Opera House.
The Opera House.
The Opera House.
That's incredible.
It was in September 2023. And the Rockman article kind of hinted that it was going to be a pretty unique show with the usual Rammstein-esque elements, but also incorporating things that would work well in that kind of grand operatic setting.
Like a clash of worlds.
Right. It must have been amazing to see.
I would have loved to have been there.
So when you step back and look at the whole picture, Rammsund is more than just a cover band.
Oh, absolutely.
They're a cultural phenomena.
They've created this unique blend of German industrial metal and Norwegian language and culture.
It's funny, entertaining, but also respectful.
And thought-provoking, I think.
Yeah, it makes you think about translation, adaptation, how art can be reinterpreted and still retain its power.
Right. It raises this question, when you translate and adapt something, are you enhancing it or changing it?
And what does Rammsund's popularity say about the universality of music?
Like, can music transcend language?
These are all questions that are worth pondering, even after this deep dive is over.
Definitely. Food for thought.
Food for thought.
And that's what we're all about here on The Deep Dive.
We like to make you think.
Keep those brains working.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive into something fascinating.
Sounds good.
Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.
We'll be here with you
Every step of the way.
See you next time.